welcome back to the Children's Corner. Today, I'm going to share with you a story called Mary's Treasure Box. Now, this is not a young Mary who just gave birth to the baby Jesus on the first Christmas. This is an older Mary who, with her young friend Sarah, is looking back and remembering that first Christmas. Every mother has a treasure box. Bonnets, blankets, trinkets, toys. If not hidden in a closet or an attic, then tucked away in the corner of her heart. And this is Mary's treasure box. The sunset skies over Nazareth painted a pastel picture on the horizon. The air was cool, and the villagers were making their way home. Mary, I've put the sheep in their pen. Is there anything else I can do for you? No, Sarah, just come and sit here next to me by the fire. Sarah hurried over to sit next to Mary. I like spending time with you, Sarah said. I love having you here, replied Mary. After supper, I'll tell you a story. Later, Sarah helped Mary clear away the supper dishes. Then, once again, they sat by the fire. Mary, began Sarah, the crackling of the fire the only sound that broke the stillness of the night. Tell me again of the story of your trip to Bethlehem. Oh, you love to hear the story about Jesus' birth. Why don't we look inside the treasure chest tonight? Jesus was just about your age when he made this box. He was a wonderful carpenter, just like his father Joseph. Jesus worked hard to create a masterpiece out of every piece of wood that he touched. It's been over 40 years now, but I still remember it like it was yesterday. Let's take a look inside. I always learn something new from the treasure box. The straw from the Manger Bed. When Joseph and I arrived in Bethlehem that night, we were so tired and cold, and we had no place to stay. So we went to the stable to be among the animals. And when it was time for Jesus' birth, Joseph took the straw and he laid it in the feed box, the animal's feed trough. From the straw, we learned the gift of humility. And then here's the sheep's wool, so soft. That night, there were shepherds on the hillside, and they came by to visit, and they gave us a bag full of sheep's wool. From the sheep's wool, we learned the gift of kindness. The shepherds weren't rich, they didn't have a lot of jewelry, but they were so generous. They gave of what they had. And the sheep's wool definitely made the stable more comfortable. And the shepherd's flute. That night the shepherd played a song for Jesus and he looked up at him and cooed. From the shepherd's flute, we learned the gift of joy. That was the most joyful night of my life. Then there's the swaddling cloth. It's gotten a lot softer over the years. When Jesus was born, I wrapped him up in the cloth. From the swaddling cloth, we learned the gift of love. Love for mother and child, father and son, God and man. Well, there's also these amazing gifts that the Magi brought. The wise men who came from the east. They arrived several months later, for they had a very long journey in search of the king that they were looking for, God's son. One wise man gave us the gift of gold, stands for purity, Jesus was pure in everything he did, in every thought and in every deed. The gift of frankincense. Such a sweet fragrance. Frankincense is a symbol of prayer, devotion, and worship. Jesus worshiped his heavenly Father in spirit and in truth. I have learned so much from him. My devotion to God has grown ever since Jesus has been in my life. And lastly, the gift of myrrh. It seemed a strange gift to give a child. Well, myrrh is an oil that's used in praying for the sick and the dying. But I guess it's not such a strange gift when you consider it was given to the one who would die for all people. I know, Sarah, you ask me if it makes me feel sad when I look inside the treasure box. But no, not at all. It actually brings me much closer to Jesus. I know why he came to earth and why he had to die. But he still lives forever in our hearts. But it's getting late now, Sarah, and it's time for bed. In the still darkness of the Nazareth night, Mary leaned over, kissed Sarah, and put a warm wool shawl over her. And then Mary looked back over the box before she put the lid on to remember all the gifts that she had been given. Humility from the straw, kindness from the wool, joy from the flute, love from the swaddling cloth, purity from the wool, purity from the gold, prayer, devotion, and worship from the frankincense, and hope from the myrrh. Hope that we one time will end up in heaven with Jesus. Well, thank you for your time together here today. So I want to end with a small, short little blessing. The blessings of peace, the beauty of hope, the spirit of love, the comfort of faith. May this be your gifts this Christmas season. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I hope you have a wonderful week and continue to have a very joyous Merry Christmas. Stay well, be safe, most importantly, be kind, and remember God always loves you.